a condition that I have never seen with any other soldier or in writing. My buddy and I were in a similar area, and the Germans didn't want us to be there. It was perfectly obvious. They had been shooting at us with machine guns when we were in town. This was their town, and we had to come into that area uninvited, and they were pulverizing the area with mortars. And the mortars were just landing almost elbow to elbow, and we were in there, and I looked at Max, and he looked at me, and both of us were steaming. Moisture coming out of our bodies. Well, what's causing this? The mortars were hitting so fast and burning so much oxygen out of the air that our bodies were replacing the oxygen in the atmosphere around there, and we were both terribly thirsty and decided this was not the spot for us. So he went his way and I went my way as hard as we could go. I went down the street. The German that had been shooting at me earlier in the day from across the canyon out there thought, get him this time. And as I was running down the street between mortars, his machine gun bullets were hitting in the cobblestones and sending streaks down on both sides of me. And I came to the corner and started to turn the corner, and my feet flew out from underneath me. And as I went down, the machine gun bullets cut right across the wall, right where I had been. And I know that he said, "I got him." Not so. Someone had relieved themselves right at the corner. And I stepped in this deposit. My feet flew out from underneath me. I was down there smelling like a latrine, and he was pouring machine gun fire into where he thought I ought to be. All right. There are a couple of other items in this closing. Number one, a sergeant pulled me over and said, "I want you to go up to this observation post. We've been having trouble keeping it manned. You take this wire, follow it out, and you will find the post at the other end." So I did that. And I jumped into the depression, the observation post, and there were 9 of us in there, 8 of us dead. And I looked out across the field out there and was amazed to see these clumps of dead people. These were my buddies from Carnegie Tech that we had before we were taken into the 95th Division. They took us in as replacements. Originally, the government had all of us at Carnegie Tech training us to do specialized jobs for the government. When Patton needed troops, they took all of us and sent us out there and just made cannon fodder out of the fortifications at Fortress Metz. Anyway, as I looked out across the moonlight and these piles, I was reminded of my childhood up here in the Antelope Valley. When my folks used to take me to the Tehachapi Mountains with the rest of the kids, they would drive out in our old 29 Chevy across the Antelope Valley through the grain fields up in the Tehachapis. And looking out on the grain fields were these piles of sacks of grain. And there was literally, in my memory, no difference between looking at all of these dead fellows who would have become doctors, ministers, teachers, engineers, you name it. They were all out there just like grain up here at Antelope Valley. When I went into outside of the bunker, and Jim Thayer wanted to talk about the bunker fight again, but it was bitter cold in this bunker fight, and it was occupied by the Germans, and we were out in the trenches outside. We had a installation there where the medic was working, trying to save the boys' lives after they got wounded. A pillbox, that's what I was reaching for. And when they would die, they'd just roll them up in a blanket and stick them outside. And there was quite a stack of these blankets out there of freezing and frozen corpses. We had just arrived to help this outfit, 2 companies trying to take this institution, and the combat scouts were called in to close it up if we could. Well, I sat down, relaxing, and a fellow came by and said, "Please don't sit on my buddy." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was sitting on your buddy." And I patted it on, and sure enough, I had a corpse underneath me, and it was inky black, and I got up and started to move away. His frozen hand had frozen into a hook, and it hooked into my coat pocket. And as I tried to pull away, he pulled me back. The harder I pulled, the more he pulled back. And I had the feeling, this fellow is practically asking me not to leave him, to stay with him here under these conditions. You ask, don't we ever think of any of the dead fellows on Memorial Day? And the answer is yes, we do, a great number of them. My example for today is Peter Grassman. Peter Grassman was from Arizona. He was drafted in and came in through the ASTP program through Fort MacArthur down here. He was on the troop train with us, but he was a scientist that could not be stopped by being drafted. He was nothing was going to stop this boy. As we made our slow 5-6 day trip across to Fort Benning, Georgia, our train was put on the siding time after time while the important trains went through. Every time it stopped, he would slide out of the car, go out into the bushes looking for examples, we called him bugs. He was looking for bugs, plants, no matter what. He was building up his collection for when he got out of the service, he was going to be ready to go back to Arizona and really do a job as an anthropologist. We were in a nasty situation at Metz, and the word came down, does anybody speak German? And Peter said, yes, I speak German. We spoke German at home, at our house. And they said, fine, we have a group of Germans who want to surrender, but they want to get the particulars worked out, and their English and our German is not up to it. Can you come up and help us out? Why, of course, I'll be happy to. A few minutes later, they came back with long faces. What they wanted was him, and they got him to show enough of himself. They kept asking that they murdered him. And here was a man who had tremendous potential, was trying to help, make good, try to be the best he possibly could for our country, and he was murdered. Today, I want to thank all of you. You are the cream of the crop. You are the ones who have chosen to be here. You are the ones who are giving up time in the mountains and time at the beach. You are the ones that are recognizing the true significance of this day. You recognize the day what it is. Thank you for being here.